Much like France wanting to reclaim the region of Alsace-Lorraine, Romania saw Transylvania, part of Austria-Hungary, as Romanian. Romania's entry into the war was primarily centred around this nationalist idea of unification, but other factors were at play too. King Carol I of Romania was German in ancestry, and, like Germany and Austria-Hungary, feared a Russian invasion. Romania secretly joined the Duel alliance and promised to back Austria-Hungary if attacked, and Romania would receive the same protection from Austria-Hungary in return. This was very private, and only a select handful of politicians were aware of the treaty. By 1914 though, relations with Russia had begun to heal, and they were no longer the threat they once were. This change in relations was matched by Bulgaria, Romania's rival, drifting away from Russia and closer to the Habsburg Empire. There were other issues. Firstly, we all know what Austria-Hungary is like when it comes to making new friends. Not very good. Secondly, when the war began, the king did want to join the Central Powers to push back at Russia. However, the people were against this, and Pro-Entente, leading to the middle ground of neutrality. Neutrality was achieved by the argument that Austria-Hungary started the war, not the other way round. Therefore, there was no legal requirement for Romania to get involved. Why were the people pro-Entente? Because 50 to 60% of people in Transylvania were Romanian, depending on the sources. War on the side of the Entente would allow Romania the chance to claim these territories and unite all Romanian peoples if victorious. It's not all war and conquest though, in nationalist geopolitics, as the Romanian government did try to get Austria-Hungary to at least agree to improving the rights of those citizens in the region, but it was not granted. Why did they ally a power that was holding territory they desired? Well, here's another interesting thing. We are talking about Austria-Hungary. It was from Hungary that Romania wanted land, and Hungary they saw as the oppressor. Austria would not get involved in those regions. It's more like the alliance was with the Austrian half of the empire and the Germans, and they just had to put up with the fact that Hungary was a part of that for their own defence, at least according to some sources. Romania was preparing for war. Plans were being drawn out for both sides at first, but gradually began to focus more on an attack on Austria-Hungary. They limited their trade only to the Central Powers, but this was because of the Dardanelles Straits. 97% of Romanian exports went through there. If Romania was to trade with the Entente, that could cause serious economic issues due to the Ottoman position. This being said though, they borrowed money from Britain and Italy to fund their early militarisation, perhaps showing already, even under King Carol, that siding with the Entente could have been a possibility. But then came a twist of fate. King Carol died. His nephew, Ferdinand I, took over in Romania and was certainly open to joining the Allies in 1916. Romania was promised by the Entente to gain the Hungarian lands where people were ethnically Romanian. France and Russia created this deal with Romania to get them involved. However, neither planned to stick by this agreement. They both agreed, in private, to backstab Romania, similar to the Entente's relationship, in a sense, with Italy. Although as the war progressed, things did change, and ultimately there was little reason not to give the land to Romania. That was not all the Entente offered though. Russia would have to provide military assistance, and to help it become less of a war on two fronts, Britain and France must quickly stage an attack on Bulgaria and the Ottomans, whilst helping to supply Romania. However, in return, they agreed to become subordinated to Russian command. The Romanian government would argue there were none or minimal supplies. No attack on Bulgaria, leading to a war on two fronts and their collapse. And lastly, Russia did send troops, but they expected far more. On the 28th of August 1916, Romania joined the Entente and declared war on Austria-Hungary. As a consequence of this, Kaiser Wilhelm removed Ferdinand's name from the list of royals from the Hohenzollern family. Romania's military position was far from favourable, and it would seem likely the nation would collapse. It did, and signed a separate peace to get themselves out of the war. This peace, along with all other peace treaties, I will cover in future videos. Romania was severely weakened by their involvement in the war. However, they waited, quietly and calmly, and then, one day before the German armistice, the nation rejoined the war on the side of the Entente to ensure their efforts would not be forgotten and guarantee a seat at the negotiations table, and in the end gained the territories they had been promised. Fun fact, Austria-Hungary at first hesitated over going to war with Serbia due to the presence of Romania, with Romania drifting towards the Entente and with them sharing a long, difficult to defend border with the Romanians. Many in the empire, including Count István Tisza, Prime Minister of Hungary, believed it pointless to risk war with Serbia due to the chance Romania may also join against them. And Italy even leaked the ultimatum to Russia and Romania, in the hope that they could both put pressure onto Austria-Hungary, forcing them to back down. A country like Romania could have potentially prevented the First World War by simply existing as they were. What Romania teaches us is how important national unification was to some countries, and still is to this day. Romania was in a bad spot when they joined the war, and would ultimately be defeated, although regained their power and came back stronger after rejoining and taking part in the peace conferences. National unification was a dream to risk it all for. That's how highly it was valued. Secondly, we can learn how quickly geopolitics can shift. King Carol seemed mostly pro-Central Powers, which resulted in neutrality at the start of the war, but a change in the head of a state can lead to a nation embodying a completely different attitude towards foreign policy. Geopolitics is not always land, economics, people, culture, strategy, but can sometimes be as simple as the beliefs and feelings of whoever happens to end up sitting on the throne next. Anyway, hope you enjoyed and learnt something. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to get notified of the next one. And please share this video with anyone you think may be interested. It really helps me out. But for now, this has been the history of diplomacy.